I like
All right. We're live. We're jamming.
Yeah.
Thursday night. Time to BS about fishing.
Was it day 4 with Johnny?
Day 4 with the fools. This soundtrack is called Feeding the Ducks. I like it.
Yeah. How'd you run across it?
What's that?
So how did you run across it?
I just found it on the software.
Oh, no, in the StreamYard?
Yeah. All right, I give up. If anybody pops in, let us know in the comments. We're gonna wait a few minutes till some people drop in. But Normandy tomorrow, huh?
Yeah, I haven't even looked at the winds and the weather and all other good stuff. I know early in the week it was pretty good
I
weather-wise.
think it's gonna be okay. I know it's gonna be slightly chilly in the morning, but 10 miles an hour or so.
I
Partly
thought it was
cloudy
going to be
most of the day.
warmer in the morning. I thought it was going to be warmer in the morning and then kind of get colder throughout the day, but it sounds like it's actually going to be colder more.
I'm looking it up right now. It looks like we're getting there at 7:30. Be about 38 according to my app. That's not terrible. It's cold, but
It's above freezing.
right. Better than last week. But it'll be in the 50s by noon. So shouldn't be too bad. I did not send this out on any social media or anything, so if anybody is watching, I kind of wonder why, but we'll see what happens. My Choo-Choo Division video is still kicking ass.
Nice.
We're almost
I
over.
wonder if it's because people are watching it and they're watching it for a while, so therefore YouTube is promoting it.
I mean, the average play duration is like over 10 minutes, so that's really, really good for my videos. Good evening, Mr. David Williams. Welcome back. Welcome back to the chat, man. David, are you fishing this weekend? Let us know. Me and Johnny took off work tomorrow, so we're gonna head out to a lake not too far from us tomorrow. Should be
as Kyle Wetch would say, it's a small local lake.
Yeah, it's pretty small. Might be better fishing below the dam than up on the lake, actually, but we'll make it work.
Man, I'm hoping to have good enough.
We're gonna have to fix that internet. Maybe we can do that tomorrow once we get back.
Can you hear it on your side? Is it choppy?
Yeah, it cuts out every once in a while, but it's not that bad.
Man, the background and everything just looks so nice. Huh?
It does. We've got Backdraft in the chat here. What's up, man? We may have a secret surprise guest already making a chat appearance. Well, Johnny, were you able to watch any of the live footage from the invitationals happening this week?
I got to watch a little bit of day one while I was trying to work, so I couldn't really focus on it a whole lot. But when I was watching, I saw where David Walker was catching some, and then I think Belak ended the day pretty strong. He did pretty well, right?
Yeah, he's got the lead, I think. I don't know how close it is, but it's been a good one, man. I'm just happy that live fishing is back. With football season ending for me, it's like, what am I going to watch? Oh wait, I'm going to watch fishing.
Yeah. Was there any big surprises from what you've seen so far, or you feel like it's kind of expected for Florida fishing?
I mean, the only surprise is that there's not a terrible cold front going through right now. I feel like every time the pros go down there, there's a cold front moving through, and it makes it really tough. So it's kind of nice to see Florida actually be like Florida. I think I texted you, man. I was seeing all these guys catching them on swim jig. It was like, dude, I can't wait to get on a swim jig bite.
Yeah, maybe I can. Maybe that's a goal for me this year. Is try to catch one on a swim jig. I have to go down to Gunnersville and throw it around for a little bit and see
Top
if I can catch.
water, swim jig. That's what we're doing this year. I'm
Give me
kind
a
of looking at the
backyard.
stats right now. There you go. Kind of looking through the stats right now. Belat did have he had 23 pounds yesterday, almost 24, almost 20 today. So I mean that's some solid bags. David Walker really kind of slumped today. Went from 28 yesterday to 13 today. So you know, not what you'd expect from him, but that's Florida, man. Let's see. So you took Neil. Who else did you take in our little competition?
I took Mike O'Neill. Why am I blinking now? I have to check the text. I was distracted as the plane was coming by the house here. I'm hoping it wasn't too loud in the
Oh no,
background. So
you're good. So
weekend.
for what we're talking about, our kind of group of buddies, we call ourselves weekend anglers. We made a little, not even a bet, but just a competition, see who could make the best picks. And I think I took Ebear, Wheeler, and Greco, and
Yep. And
Ebear and Wheeler made the cut.
I took Kyle Hall, Mark Daniels Jr., and Mike Neal.
Did all three of those guys make it?
I don't know, man. Like I said, I hadn't had a chance to check it out. Worked all day, came home, worked on the boat to get ready for tomorrow, and then crunched the numbers for our conversation today. So
Yeah, I've got it pulled up here. Let's see. So Ebear made it. Kyle Hall made it. Wheeler made it. And that is it for us. And DJ missed it just by a little bit. And
DJ.
Michael Neal. MDJ.
Oh, dang. Oh yeah, MDJ made it. Hey, well, we kill some time. Maybe we can. You didn't get a chance to go to the expo this weekend, right? Because you were out there fishing.
Right. Yeah, tell us about it.
Yeah, I got to chat with Brandon a little bit, and Thunder Rocket Lords were out there, and Brian Carper, and some the local guys. I was
Awesome.
trying to get content because I got there pretty early, but apparently my battery ran out and I didn't have enough juice. But it was pretty cool to kind of meet Brandon in person and got to see him tie on a few jigs and lures and chatterbaits and whatnot. So was able
Nice.
to catch up with him a little bit over the weekend. It sounded like he did all right.
Good. Good. I think he put up a video today of like an A-rig video on Priest. I haven't watched it yet, but definitely be doing that once we get off here.
Nice.
So we got three people watching. We only got 2 comments. So if you're here, let us know. Let us know who else is lurking.
Dude, Doug was on last week and he didn't let me know. He texted me afterwards. Like, yo,
I know. These people.
his work
Need some
schedule is a little tough.
participation, man. I get that. Certainly get that. But trying to think what else we can talk about before we get ramped up here on the main discussion.
Dude, I don't think at the Knoxville show, I don't think I told you Mike O'Neill was pretty close to me in one of the booths.
Oh yeah?
It was kind of weird, man. It was like the first time like I actually could talk to somebody that, was like famous and I looked up to.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what to say to him. And then like afterwards, I'm like, oh man, I just need to have like a regular conversation, just like I would be chatting with you.
That's kind of what you realize is like they're all just regular dudes like me and you. Like like the difference between us and like NFL players physically is very great. Like, we certainly are not the quality or the caliber of human to be an NFL football player, but physically, you see all sorts of guys, all shapes and sizes out there fishing. So that is kind of the cool thing when like I saw Ike a few weeks ago, and it was just like, oh, he's just another dude, just another human like me and you.
Yeah, but it's so weird. Like, I'm just so used to like watching them on the YouTubes and tournament
I
recaps and
do
whatnot.
remember. I do remember the first time I ever saw like a pro angler that I knew was at Mark's Outdoors in Birmingham, and I saw Scott Canterbury, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's the one and only.
Yeah.
And now if I saw him in public, I'd be like, oh, what's up, man? How are you? Um, but it is really cool that that's kind of how our sport is. Um, but what else did you see at these expos that you liked? Like anything cool to report? Anything interesting?
Man, there's so Knoxville Expo. I mean, both expos. What I've learned is that I just don't like being in a crowd that much. And so, like, just when you're trying to look at a reel or a lure and just shoulder to shoulder to people, it's for me, it's not as enjoyable, you know.
Yeah,
But I
that's
think if
fair.
you went there knowing exactly what you wanted, like, hey, I want a Shimano DC left-hand reel and a 7 gear ratio, and you see it and you know what the retail price is, and you know it's 20% off, like it's worth it in that way, But like for me, it was hard to like browse around.
I feel you. So we were talking about jerkbait setups the other day. What did you end? Did you end up making a decision there?
Yeah, I ended up buying the Shimano X Pride B.
Okay.
And I bought that Ike rod. See, I like that Ike rod because the butt handle on it's a little shorter, and so I don't
Yeah.
feel like it'll get in the way when I'm jerking it.
Right.
So I bought the Shimano and the Ike rod, and then I took your recommendation and got that Shimano Batanium or
The
Metanium.
Yeah, the Metanium.
Yeah, I
Sweet.
bought yeah. So I got that
That's gonna be
coming,
nice, man. That's gonna be a nice setup. I like it.
and then I also bought the Lose. It's a high-dollar rod. I mean, high-dollar reel, but it's a lot lighter. I was doing a bunch of research on how much the reels weigh. I feel like a lot of them weigh anywhere from like 6.5 to 7 ounces, and one of the Lose reels I got is like 4.9 ounces. So,
Well, let us know if you see a difference or feel a difference.
man, it's I have like this internal struggles. I was looking at it for a few days, and it was the same way when I did the batteries and the power poles. I just had these internal struggles and trying to justify buying it because it's like, we work hard, right? So you're at work all day, 40 hours a week, and then you get to go fish for a few hours, on the weekend, right? So a part of me is like, you're not fishing in a tournament. It's not that crucial. And you're doing it just for fun. So you don't need really high end gear, right? So that's like one side of me. The other side of me is telling me, like, hey, Johnny, you only get to fish for 6 hours and you worked hard. If you're going to be out there for 6 hours, then you might as well fish what you want to fish. And as long as the budget
Yeah,
allows and you can afford it, then you should buy it. And so
definitely.
these are like
Yeah.
struggles that go in my head all the time.
No, I get it, man. And everybody's budget is different. Everybody can afford different stuff. I mean, even when we were talking, it was like, if it was me, this is what I would buy. But your budget is different than mine. So at the end of the day, if you're having fun, you're enjoying it. That's really all that matters.
Yeah, and you know how big I am with looks. So I was looking at those two Shimano's. One of them, that 70s spool one. There's one that's like $100 at SLX, and then you got the Corrado one. That's like twice as much.
Right.
And when I was watching a bunch of videos on it, and just like the way that Corrado looks, I feel like it looks so much better. Like to me, like the SLX one, it's almost kind of squarey. And so I knew I didn't want that, and then it came down to the Corrado. I was like, man, if I'm going to spend this much on a Corrado, which I already have, like I need, then I want to go ahead and get this Titanium one, that they're, flagship line. So
Right. Yeah, for sure. I have a bunch of the SLXs. One other thing I've noticed about them is they have like a matte finish to them, which like it's not a problem, but when you get scratches, they're a lot more visible. And when I'm traveling all over the place, bumping in stuff, scratching them up, you can definitely see it a lot more than like the Corrado, which has got more of like a satin finish. So
yeah.
as far as the looks go, that definitely matters. But hey, we've got a guest on the show today. We only have one person watching right now, but I figure I'll bring him in. Um, Brandon, what's going on, man? Can you hear us? Oh, don't know if we can hear him or not.
He might be on. Looks like he's on mute. He's trying to
That's
make some
fine.
adjustments there.
Oh, good. This is how it goes. Just give him a second here to get settled. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear y'all.
Awesome.
Do you hear me?
We can hear you. Yep.
Okay.
Awesome.
I just can't
What's
hear
up,
it.
man?
Oh man, doing all right.
Good to have you. Thanks for joining.
I can't hear it through my microphone, so I guess we'll just have to do it this way.
All right. Well, make it happen, man. So, for those who don't know, man, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Oh, hey y'all, my name is Brandon. I'm the owner founder of Backdraft Lure Company.
So you're local here to Middle Tennessee, or where are you at?
I am White House, Tennessee.
Okay.
Yeah, just a little bit north of Nashville. Yep.
Cool. So tell us about Backdraft, man. Tell us your background of the company, what you guys make, what you guys do, what you're about.
So Backdraft started out as actually it's kind of an experiment, kind of a soft plastic experiment. What you would call like a core shot today, like as far as soft bait making, that was kind of the idea. Didn't quite take off, but for years I've always been tinkering with lures, stuff like that. And after that little soft plastic venture kind of failed to take off, it was like, hey, you know what? I can make my own lures cheaper. And so then it was a it was a football jig mold, then an Archie jig mold, and it just kind of spiraled out of control from there. So
cool. That's great, man. So
yeah.
You also are on YouTube, and you got a couple of videos up there. Tell us about your latest one.
So that latest one I filmed, oh man, I hate to admit, probably about a month ago. And I meant to get that out sooner. Just with all the prep of the stuff for the show, I just didn't have time.
Sure. No, I think Johnny and I can probably speak to this too, but trying to get those videos out consistently, man, it's a lot of work. Johnny, what you got anything to say about that?
Yeah, I think people just don't realize how hard it is to put content together and then, try to stitch it and make it entertaining and educational and all other fun stuff. But I feel like some other local guys are starting to put together some videos too. So it's kind of cool to see, it grow here in the Middle Tennessee.
And that latest video, I use Power Director 365. I don't know what you guys use, but that was this latest video was kind of an attempt at doing like different effects and stuff like that. Kind of incorporating background music, some still shots, some zoom in stuff like that. It's kind of kind of an experiment on different, just different effects, different components of the software.
Yeah, definitely. It's one of the harder things as like a smaller content creator is to try to get better and do something different for every video. It's like, you try to get 1% better with everything you do, but 1% isn't enough on YouTube.
Absolutely.
You gotta try your very hardest to incorporate new stuff all the time. And it's one of the things for me is I started asking my buddies like, okay, what do you like about my video and what do you not? Like, I need you to be brutally honest with me. Just tell me. Like, I had one of my buddies this last week was like, you sure you want me to tell you how I think? I said, sure, man, just lay it on me. And left me with some good stuff, just some good basic stuff that sometimes I forget about, like introduce yourself and link that, drop that subscribe and like stuff. That stuff all matters. It's just stuff that I forget about. And yeah, so Backdraft, local company. Tell us about this last show you were at. Did you have any highlights to share?
So that was actually our first trade show. I went into it really not knowing what to expect, really not knowing how to prepare, how to set up the booth, how many lures I needed to bring. So, I mean, it was humbling and it was eye-opening. But we had a ton of people stop by the booth and talk to us. Not everybody bought lures, and that's okay. But more than that, though, all the other vendors, which I mean, I figured it was going to be kind of cutthroat. So, I mean, this really surprised me, but all the other vendors were great. I mean, they were like, hey, you ought to do this or you ought to do that. And it was just so great. All the great advice I got.
Awesome.
But the show to me was kind of underwhelming. I have heard in years past it was better. like during the pandemic, I heard it, like, it just kind of dropped off significantly. But I don't know. I think there's things they could do to attract more local fishing companies,
Right.
and smaller, because I mean, like, you pay the same price to get into the East Tennessee Fishing Show, which is 5 times
Really?
bigger.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, like I said, I was not overall. I was not. I mean, like you go to a fishing show, like, you don't want to see, like, gutter guards or, like, deck sealant or stuff like that. You want to see fishing stuff.
Right.
And in that respect, Johnny, you were there. I mean, I'm sure you would probably say too that it was kind of underwhelming, like, as far as representation from local companies.
Oh yeah, and like I went to the Tennessee Expo, so I had that, and then I come to
Right, yeah.
and, I was at last year's Lebanon show, and I just started fishing heavily like 2-3 years ago, and the Lebanon last year's show was the first one I really went to, so I didn't really have anything to compare it to. But when I went to the Knoxville
Right.
one, it was like pretty cool. One of the things I really don't like about the Lebanon one is they make you go through that small hallway, and that's where all the gutter guard and people selling you butter and jam and
Yeah.
fishing lights, and like it just gets backed up. And that's the part I was talking to Alice about earlier, man. I just don't like being around that many people that close nowadays.
Right.
And like you're forced to go through that. And I wish they would change that up,
Yeah. And we'll be at the East Tennessee show next year.
Awesome.
I just didn't start early enough making lures. And of the people I've talked to, I mean, they're like, we sold 4,000 or 5,000 units, all that kind of stuff. I'm like, holy crap. I did not prepare for this, so, but like I said, I mean, it was a good learning experience.
Oh, good. That's all you can hope for stuff like that. I mean,
yeah,
I am not particularly a show guy, to be honest with you guys. I mean, I like seeing all the cool stuff, but I'd rather be out on the water, to be honest. I mean, I don't know if it's the COVID thing or what it is, but I love fishing, and I can go on your website, Backdraft, and see the stuff you've got, and it's not the same as seeing it in person, obviously, but when it comes down to it, I'd rather be out on the water. So that's kind of,
no doubt.
That's what I've been up to,
I don't know about you, man, but I'm ready for tournament season. My first tournament would be Dale Hollow.
Right. Yeah. So me and you met last year at, I think we met at the first Percy Priest tournament, or it was either the first or the second. I don't remember.
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah, it was one of the two really tough ones, but that's kind of how we started talking a little bit. Saw you at a couple of the other BFLs out there. But one of the things we want to talk about a little bit tonight to our huge audience is the cost of tournament fishing and sort of just the process you go throughout the year. So I don't know. I know Johnny is not necessarily a big tournament participant. I know he likes to watch and pay attention to the tournaments and kind of keep track of them. But Brandon, you and I are, in the thick of things on the co-angler side. Are you fishing boater this year?
I am fishing boater this year. So yeah, costs are going up for me.
Right. So that's part of the deal here is the entry fee for everything has gone up by about $10, or about probably 10% per.
Yeah, I think so. It's what, 110 for co-anglers now, and then I think it's 220 for boaters. Yeah.
Right. So that's 10%.
Yeah.
And that's just a reality of like the world, I guess. I mean, everything else is that way, so might as well just raise the price on everything.
Oh yeah.
But as far as the money side of the tournaments go, do you sit down every year and go through, add up your travel expenses, your bait stuff, your entries? Do you sit there and look at that stuff, or does it just in the wash for you?
It's gotten a little more complicated now because as of last year, I can write that off as a business expense because it's advertising.
Right.
So in that respect, it's gotten a little more complicated, but I mean, not really. I mean, it's just like, as far as entry fees go, I have to pay higher. Then I have to carry a certain amount of liability insurance, which I mean, being a firefighter and being an EMS, I carry $1 million. Always have. You never know when somebody's going to sue you. So, I mean, that's not an issue. And then, which, of course, gas and lodging and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Luckily, I've got a buddy of mine that's pulling the trigger on the co-angler side this year. And so he'll be traveling with me. He'll be practicing with me. And so we're sharing costs. So that, that helps.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah, that helps.
And, one of the things that I've started doing in the past few years is if you win enough money, you get 1099 by these places.
Yep.
So you can technically write a lot of this stuff off.
Oh, absolutely.
If you win enough to get that tax form there in the early spring, you can write a lot of that stuff off. Now you have to know the rules, and it takes a certain amount of knowledge on the process of 1099 taxes. It's different than just a standard, W-2 or what have you. But you can't write everything off. But there's a lot of stuff that if you pay attention to, you can write it off.
I mean, you've at least got to try it.
Yeah, no, definitely. Especially as it's not like I'm sitting here. I don't make enough to worry about the IRS. So
right. Yeah.
But
I'm
Johnny,
with you there.
Johnny, any thoughts on what we're talking about here? Just about the tournament costs in general. I know you don't really get into it, the actual participation, all that much, but any thoughts?
You're talking about you have to make a certain amount to file a 1099.
So you have to make, I think 600 is the minimum amount from Major League Fishing. You have to make that amount for them to send you a tax document, which is that.
Yeah, I think that's about right.
I was wondering what that amount was. But no, it's funny. We're talking about tournaments and whatnot, because I was trading some emails with Alex about the NPFL and, trying to figure out how much that costs, how much you win, and who all you're competing with. I was like, oh, man, I need to probably do it for Toyotas and the BFLs. And so, Brandon touched base on this a little bit, but, $220 for that entry fee. And so I didn't have enough time to look at all of these numbers, but if y'all just bear with me. But let's say Old Hickory last year, I think there was 120 boats. First place on that boater side for the BFL won $5,500. 23rd, which was the last place that you still was in the money, they made $261. So basically, I think at each of these tournaments, you basically had to cut. If you finished last in the money, you would basically get your money back. It's probably on average. So they paid out to 23 places that paid 261, and in the middle of that was, let's say, ninth place. They made 945, right? And so I did Old Hickory, Percy Priest, and Dale Hollow, and that was the kind of the trend that I saw. And so, Brandon, how does that make you feel from a boater perspective? Is it you're just hoping to get into money, or you think this is just an opportunity for you to compete and do some promotion about your company, or you really
the way I look at the BFLs is they're inexpensive enough where it's still just a hobby to me. I mean, if I really wanted to try to prove my mettle, I would go into the Toyota Series or the NPFL or something like that. Yeah, it's just fun. It's no different than any other hobby. Like if you're going into golf, you're going to spend all this money on golf clubs, green fees, all that kind of stuff. It's kind of the same thing. I consider myself a mediocre fisherman. I'm not bad, but I'm not great either, So it's just a hobby.
Yeah, and I would say for probably 90% of the guys out there, that's all it is. It's just out there to have fun. I think if you talk to maybe 10% of them actually want to make some sort of life out of this, and then 2% of them want to make it their career. So a lot of guys want.
If I can make it my career, that would be great. But I don't have any huge ambitions for that. It's just, it's fun, and it's a way to get my company out there locally.
Sure. Yeah. That's how you
or at least regionally, I guess you could say. The southern region, Tennessee, Kentucky, Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia. That's the goal. I have no illusions of grandeur about being in an academy and being in Bass Pro or anything like that. It's just because it's too much work. I'm going to have to hire people, which would be great. Don't get me wrong, but as I stand right now, it's all local, regional. So
Right, which is not a bad thing. I mean, that's
yeah.
if you can establish yourself, it's actually a really good market, especially
Oh yeah.
if you get some more high profile guys using your stuff. There's nothing wrong with that. So
Let's see. And David Williams, by the way, on the chat. David Williams, I see you. He went to my website. Thank you, David.
So did you design that website yourself, or did you have someone do it, or?
I actually went through Shopify,
Okay.
which they make that pretty much idiot proof. I mean,
Okay.
all the bones are there. You just enter in all your information, and, put in your photos, all that kind of stuff. So,
Cool.
yeah.
Nice.
Which, we're working on it right now. So after the show, I don't have any of the new lures on there, which that's what I'm working on right now. Matter of fact, as you guys are talking, I'm over here gluing on eyes and stuff like that, taking photos and all that kind of jazz, getting all the new stuff out there on the website.
You can't just talk about the stuff on live. You got to show us what you're doing, man. You got anything to
Oh,
show
okay.
and tell?
Well, yeah, we'll show and tell.
Let's see.
So that's the Shutterbug right there, which Johnny K was on Bible Belt's website the other day.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Awesome.
That's the new Shutterbug. That's the bladed jig, which you guys were talking about swim jigs earlier. There's your swim jig.
There you go.
Yep. Let's see. We got the new Ned plastic, which is called the Butt Nugget.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Pause. You got to tell us what's special about each of these, but what makes them backdraft?
Okay. Well, nothing really special about them. Not yet, anyway, because I don't have the money or the facilities to actually come up with anything on my own yet. So a lot of these I just buy. I buy the heads already poured. But the swim jig, if you guys can see that, great hook keeper. And just the colors really are what's going to make this. So obviously that's white right there. That one right there is called Coleslaw. Yeah, let's see.
Hold it up.
There we go.
Yeah, there you go. Good looking skirt. I like it.
Yeah. So
you catch anything on Priest on swim jigs?
I haven't been out to Priest lately. I'm gonna try to get out there next week. I think though, with the water temperature, probably bladed jig is going to be your best bet out there. But I talked to Brian Carper at the show. He's catching them on A-rigs and a swim bait. So I mean, lots of torrent stuff.
Yep, that's cool.
I mean, man, that torrent stuff is just.
It's legit.
I mean, dude, it is legit. I mean, it's taking them. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little bit jealous. I wish I could invent something that great, but I mean, yeah, his stuff is awesome. So
you'll get there. Yeah. You're on your way. So when you go out to these tournaments and you're fishing these BFLs, are you trying to talk to your boater about the stuff you're throwing? Are you giving him a little plug there? Or are you just fishing along and minding your own business?
So I've only fished one tournament as a boater, and that was last year. I had been a co-angler all of last year, and I was kind of on the bubble. And it was one of those things. It's like I can zero on my boat or I can zero on somebody else's boat. And I didn't end up making the regional. But I caught a couple fish on the boater side. I just kind of wanted to get a handle on the process, on the check-in, on the talking to the co-angler, which, I mean, coming from a co-angler thing, which I watched your video, by the way, I mean, it's like, these are questions that you need to be asking your boater, and he didn't ask those questions.
Right.
He came out there very unprepared. I mean, nothing against him, but he came out there very unprepared. And, but as I was on the bubble, I mean, like, if I was top 20, I would have probably fished that tournament. as a co-angler, trying to get into the regional, but I was, like I said, I was kind of on the bubble. So I just wanted to go ahead and get a taste of it before I went and boater this year.
Sure. Okay. That makes sense, man.
Hey, Brandon, does like dumping the boat and like fishing that big old field make you nervous at all or anything? That's one of the reasons I don't want to go fishing. Like maybe I'm just don't like that many people. I mean, I know it talked about being at the expo, being around that many people makes me nervous, but just the anxiety of like being at that boat ramp and all the, dumping the boat and not be able to see at night. And like that just makes you anxious as all get out.
Well, I'm like you. I do have a little bit of anxiety, but more so I kind of have, I guess like a nervous energy. Like, I'm just ready to go. But the first two tournaments, we've got a cabin at Dale Hollow and we've got a boat slip right there at Star Point. In that second Dale Hollow tournament, I'm probably going to fish as a co-angler in the Mountain Division that day before because it's a Saturday-Sunday tournament. Mountain Division fishes on Saturday, Music City fishes on Sunday.
Right.
So hopefully I'm going to use Saturday as my second day of practice.
Cool.
I mean, I know that sounds kind of weird, but I'm not going to steal anybody's spots.
Right.
I get what you're saying, though. It is kind of nerve-wracking.
Yeah, that's one of the.
I mean, really, it is. Because I mean, like when you're a co-angler, I mean, like you only have so many things to deal with. When you're a boater, though, I mean, you have your stuff, and then you have a co-angler, and you're trying to get everybody back safely, all that kind of stuff. You're trying to find fish. You don't want to let anybody down. I mean, there's a lot of factors that go into that.
But then again, one of the main point of my whole video is that the day of fishing can be really bad for me as a co. Like, I've had days that are just really tough. Like, I drew one of the best guys on Old Hickory this year, and we zeroed. Like, I think he had one. But the day itself was really good because that relationship that you form and the friendships you form and that experience, the learning, all that stuff is just, to me, at the BFL level, it's a whole lot more about that than it is the actual fishing results.
Oh, absolutely. And, you guys talk about cost. I mean, the cost doesn't matter to me, like at this level. It's just more about, I would rather control where I go and either, I mean, like better or worse, I'd rather try to go out and find my own fish.
Yeah. I get that. If I had a boat that was capable of doing that, I'd be out there too. Yeah. But that's where I'm at right now. So
yeah.
Did you catch any checks last year?
I cashed 2 actually.
Okay, man.
Yeah.
People don't really understand. That's a good year. Like, it didn't really matter how much they were. It's a good year just when you get some money.
I mean, I don't know what your goals are this year. Obviously, I mean, make the regional, which I mean, that's my goal. I mean, just to get top 45 and make the regional is my goal. I don't have any really, really ambitious goals. My first year as a boater, I mean, just to make the regional basically is where I'm at.
Yeah. The first stream that Johnny and I did a few weeks ago, we talked about my goals, and I'm shooting for All-American. Like, I want to get there. Obviously, that was like my overarching number one, shoot for the sky kind of thing. And then to build off of that, you got to make the regional, and then you got to do good in the regional, and you got to, there's a whole bunch of stuff that has to happen to make that happen. But I'm going for All-American this year because I was so close last year, and I was like 2 fish away from it last year. So I'm going for it this year.
I mean, being a co-angler, having been a co-angler for like, let's see, the past 4 years now. I mean, being a co-angler is kind of feast or famine,
Yeah, it definitely is.
But I mean, if you keep the right mindset and you throw the right lures, then you can absolutely make it.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's talk more about lures. We've talked about tournaments plenty now. Let's say, Johnny and I are going out to Normandy tomorrow. So have you been to Normandy before?
Once, years ago.
Okay. So we're going out to Normandy tomorrow. You know, it's a rocky, water's down right now. We're just on the cusp of pre-spawn, like we're almost there. I think the water temperature is probably in the low 50s. Brandon, what are you taking out there? Whether it's backdraft or whatever it is, what are you tying on tomorrow?
I would probably start with a shad wrap, like a crawl colored shad wrap.
I hate throwing that little roll. I'm assuming
I know, I do too. I do too, but man, it gets bit. That or like maybe like an OG Slim.
Yep.
Yeah. With that shad wrap, are you working it all, Brandon? Or are you just like chugging wine? Are you like kind of jerking it down or twitching it?
Pretty much just chucking wine on a spinning reel on 8-pound test.
Yeah, if it's windy at all,
I mean, that's what I would do.
I'm throwing out my shoulders, trying to get the thing out there.
I mean, I get it. And Normandy does have some bluff walls. A-rig jerk bait might work there.
Right.
Let's see, A-rig jerk bait, maybe a spinner bait if you can find some like grass or stumps or something like that. But other than that, maybe a shaky head.
Yeah, I think you mentioned a lot of things that I'm bringing tomorrow. I mean, there's actually a fair amount of wood on that lake, so stuff like a flipping jig and a spinner bait. I'm gonna have a mag draft out there tomorrow, just see if I can get one big one to munch it. But Johnny, what do you think? I mean, we've talked about what you're throwing, but
yeah, I wanted to get Brandon's stuff on bluff walls. I feel like not all bluff walls are created equally. Is there certain things that you're looking for on a bluff wall? There's some that stay down, some they got, kind of stair stepping, some the channel swings into it. I guess most of them channel swings into it, but there can be a bluff wall that shallower. I feel like,
If you watch watch the video that I just put out, you will notice that I got bit. Where that was actually was Hole in the Wall Island on Percy Priest. Yeah. And you'll notice that I got bit on the hole in the wall. And then I got bit on like a little outcropping, so a little rock outcropping,
something a little different instead of just down that straight.
Yeah. I mean, not just a straight bluff wall, just I mean, something that differentiates it from the rest of the bluff wall. Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. Anytime I see a bluff wall, it doesn't matter if it's a channel swing or a ledge, or if it's whatever it is. I'm always just looking for, whether it's a stick up or just a rock poking out, I'm just looking for something different to break that structure up.
Yeah. And I think that's where they hang out.
Yeah, definitely. So, well, Johnny, you and I talked about what you're bringing tomorrow, but maybe you can share with the audience what you're thinking about throwing tomorrow.
Yeah. A lot of stuff that Brandon talked about. So, I got like an OG6, that'll cover my 6-foot depth. And then also got a DT10, which cover a little bit deeper. You still got that balsa wood, but it's got a little bit wider wobble and a little bit deeper. Mm-hmm. So we'll see if they want that from a moving, crankbait perspective. And then I've also got a, Mega Bass 110 and a 110 plus 2. I figured that'd cover me from a, 6 to 12, 13 foot range.
So are you hoping to see those fish on live scope and jerk at them, or are you just going to be tossing that out there and hoping for it?
No, I recently upgraded to a 12-inch, so I'm hoping to see some fish on that thing. So
yeah, definitely. Yeah. Well, I think I'm thinking more shallow than you are, probably, because I'm all about catching them in the dirt right now. Especially for spotted bass down there in Normandy, they'll get shallow on days like tomorrow. So, I'm thinking DT8.
Okay with that.
Cool, let's do it.
DT8. I think they could be either way. And another thing to consider on the bluff walls, which I don't hang on, I don't have the eyes on this one yet, is an underspin.
Yeah. Yep.
Oop.
What do you like to put on the What do you like to put on that as a trailer?
Just a fluke.
Okay. Nice.
I don't throw a paddle tail on an underspin because the blade on an underspin is what gives it its action. So if you throw a paddle tail on an underspin, it kind of counteracts the blade.
Yeah.
The blade where you get the vibration and stuff like that. So
right. That's interesting.
That was a
cool.
pretty stout hook. I feel like you're probably throwing that one on the bait cast, right?
No, I actually, which this is, I'm pretty sure that's a 3/8. I sell those up to a half ounce and down to an 1/8 ounce. So
Yeah.
pretty sure on that 3/8 ounce, I think it's a 3/0 hook. Not 100%, but I think it's a 3/0 hook.
But you're throwing on the bait cast?
You can.
Yeah.
Like at that size, you could. Now, if you went down to a quarter or of an 1/8 ounce, yeah, you probably want to throw that on a spinning reel. But yeah, 3/8, 3/8 or a half, you could throw that on a bait caster.
I like it. Well, I'm gonna have a DT8 kind of strike, but if Johnny's got the 6 and the 10, I'll take the 8 and the 4. So I'll have a DT8. I'll have a Rocco, that new square bill from Rapala. Spinner bait. I'm a big spinner bait guy, man. I love a chatterbait all times of the year, but the spinner bait in the spring I love it.
Well, as it turns out, we sell spinner baits.
I like it, man.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, that's a white with a gold blade double willow. But my rule is if the water's below 50 degrees, I throw a flat-sided crankbait. If it's above 50, I'll go ahead and throw a regular. And that applies to square bills or whatever else. But I think that tighter wobble in colder water, I think that makes a difference.
So what made you land on 50? Because that's a pretty specific number.
I watched a YouTube video about it, but it has been my experience in the wintertime that they prefer a slow moving, tight wobbling bait.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I'm just curious as to why that specific number, but it makes sense. I mean, I think everybody pretty much at this point believes that's kind of the case. That tighter wobble in the winter.
Yeah.
But that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, like that 50 degree. I mean, that's probably not a hard and fast rule by any means, but that's just that's kind of how I go by it.
Right.
So.
Right. Cool, man. Well, you like to chase any other species other than bass? You crappie guy, hybrids, anything like that?
Well, yes and no. So years ago, my dad and I, God rest his soul, we used to go after sauger all the time. Below Pickwick, below Cheatham, below Cordell Hall.
Right.
And then crappie, of course. Love crappie.
Okay. So you're still a crappie guy now?
Oh yeah.
You guys make any crappie products?
Nope.
Sticking to the
Don't
bass.
intend to either. That's
fine.
That's just a whole other market that I don't want to get into.
Sure. Yeah. So I guess as a tournament guy who's also doing the lure thing, have you seen how has the growth been? Have you been like, what do you focus on? Or I guess is the question is, what are you focusing on? The tournament stuff? Are you focusing on the company, or are you trying to do both at the same time?
I'm kind of trying to do both at the same time, which I consider them separate but the same. The tournament stuff is a great opportunity to put my product out there, but at the same time, the tournaments are for me.
Sure.
That's my vacation. And me and my wife and my little girl, we're going to take vacations, but that's totally different with me going fishing. So
sure.
I feel like we're getting off the I feel like we're getting off the tournament costs here.
No, I mean, that was just something I wanted to bring up. I personally, I went through the whole year and went through all my bank statements and went through every transaction and highlighted everything, put it in. I did the whole 9. And at the end of the day, that's just because I was able to deduct a lot of that stuff. But if we want to get back on the tracks there, I think I ended up winning some like just right around $1,000 last year, and I think I spent about 5 on the tournaments
Yeah.
just to be straight up with people. And
Yeah. I
like
think
when
it's a break even kind of thing.
if you break even overall for the year, dude, you are killing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
But I think one thing that allowed me to do, like sitting there and making this spreadsheet, looking through all the baits I bought, all the gas I spent on, all this, it allowed me to reflect on like, okay, I don't need to rush to the academy the night before the tournament and buy this thing and do it, because it ends up that day of that tournament, it's probably not going to help me all that much.
I mean, like, what do you do? What do you do, like with the Dale Hollow? Like, do you stay in a hotel or do you just drive down the night before?
Well, I just drove there the morning of, honestly.
Okay.
And I didn't, now that I'm, I've got a different job, things are a little different now. Things may change this year, but a lot of times for this stuff, I either know people around, like I know a lot of people in Birmingham still. I know some guys down in Alabama if I'm ever fishing down there. I've got family close to the TVA, so I've got some places I can stay around some of these tournaments. But like I guess reflecting on that, all the expenses of last year allows me to go when I go into the prep. It's like, okay, I should probably just take a look in my plastics before I go chasing that one specific Ned rig color, or whatever it is.
Because I know when I was a co-angler, I took everything. I mean, like I had totes and totes and totes.
Right.
And then for the tournament day, I mean, I just kind of pared it down to what I needed.
Right.
But also, I mean, if it's an Old Hickory or a Percy Priest, I live 30 minutes away and 45 minutes away, respectively, from Old Hickory and Percy Priest. But if it's a Dale Hollow, I'm not camping in my truck. I mean, like I make enough money to where I can rent a cabin,
sure,
and I can have that prep time.
Now I did go sleep in the truck for the regional.
Yeah, I just think it's better. I guess preparation, mentally wise and preparation wise, if I stay in a hotel and I've got all my stuff, I can do that.
I mean, don't get me wrong, man. Like that Dale Hollow tournament, I think I got up at like 2 in the morning and didn't get back till like 7 or 8. So
I saw that video. Yeah.
Yeah, it is
absolutely, yeah.
It's not something that it's not something I'm going to be able to do forever. So at some point I'm going to have to figure that out. But Johnny, when you hear those numbers, Johnny, overall for the year that I lost for about $4,000, something like that, between all the costs, what does that make you think? Because you kind of had a little reaction there. I wanted to get your thoughts.
No, it's just kind of first time hearing those numbers, and so I thought it was interesting because I think you said you won 1,000 but spent 5,000, right? So
yeah,
but that's what you love to do. So
I mean, like Brandon, I don't have any regrets.
That's not doing whatever.
Yeah, it's not what I'm saying, but when I considered that I actually had like a decent year as far as the fishing goes. I made the regional. I had a top 20 finish on the Bass Nation side. I had like 12th place finish in the championship. Like I had a good year, but that's what it took, was dropping all that, that. And then you don't have to do that either. I just made a video. Brandon, you were talking about like, what do I bring on the boat with me? I just dropped a video today on the gear side of my preparation, because I'm a pain in the ass when it comes to that stuff. Like I am super meticulous and I've got everything. I know exactly where it is at all times. Like, that's my personality. But to get to that point, you got to spend a lot of money on like just organization, the right kind of boxes and a good backpack and, storage in the car. There's all sorts of stuff that goes into it.
I mean, to be a co-angler is almost, hell, it is. It's a whole lot different thing than being a boater.
Oh, yeah.
Because, like a boater's got all that stuff in his boat.
Yes.
And hell, I've been there. Yeah. Like, trying to figure out what to pack.
I think it just it forces you to make decisions ahead of time. Like like to me, I'm I'm only going to bring what I'm confident in. I
Yep.
I have a rule that I'm not going to throw something on tournament day that I've never thrown before. Now,
Yeah.
if my boater's catching them and I can't figure anything else out, and he's like, "Here, dude," and I'm going to take that. Like, I'm not stupid,
Mhm.
but if all I get to bring is 10 to 12 pounds of stuff of tackle, just straight up tackle, if that's all I
Mhm.
get, I better be confident in every single lure. Every treble in there better be sharp. Like, it
Yeah.
all better be dialed in. So,
And see, I fell into that trap too, where I brought way too much tackle, and I spent more time tying different lures on than I did fishing.
yeah. And
Where if I would have just spent a little more time fishing what I was fishing, it probably would have worked.
right. I ran into that at Eufaula. So it's October in Eufaula. It's super tough. Alabama Bass Nation Championship last year. It's day 2. It's a 3 fish limit. I need one more, and we've got like 20 minutes left. I'm looking around the boat. My boater's done for the day. Like he's quit at this point. He's basically just there for me. And
Right.
What's up, Chad? I've got Chad in the chat, man. Welcome. But we got 20 minutes left. We're right near the boat ramp, and I'm like, what do I have confidence in that will catch them 365 days out of the year? And I picked up a chatterbait. And I think I took like 6 casts with it and caught a keeper. And it was like that decision. It's like a core decision, right? It's like one of those things where it's like when it's all on the line, I look down at that chatterbait. I'm like, okay, this is it. Like this is where it all comes down to. So,
I mean, it happens.
Yeah, you've got to make those.
I mean, if I have 3 lures to fish with the rest of my life, I'm choosing the square bill, I'm choosing the spinnerbait, I'm choosing the Texas rig.
I think a lot of guys would agree with that. You can probably catch a fish on one of those lures all year. I mean.
Oh yeah, and you were in your video. You were talking about how many rods do I bring? I've never brought more than 7.
Yeah. And that's like that question gets debated all the time. It doesn't matter how many you bring or how many I bring. It's about you personally. What are you comfortable with, and what are you? What number do you need to stay organized and stay focused? Because I know for me, like one thing I run into is like if I want to have a jig and a Texas rig, I don't want to be changing on the same.
Right.
Round.
Yeah. Oh,
like
absolutely.
That drives me crazy. Right. But that means bringing 2 rods, and then it's kind of like, well, why am I bringing two, flipping or bottom style bait rods? It's because I want to be able to just switch out really quickly, and that question gets brought up all the time.
And so I'm kind of cognizant of that. Being a boater, that does enter my mind now because I have been a co-angler in the past. It's like, okay, I'm going to try to give my co-angler the best information that I can,
right,
on what we're doing.
Yeah.
That way he can simplify his bait selections. Because as a co-angler, I don't want to be throwing the exact same thing as my boater. But I've had those situations where, my boater's throwing one thing, he's catching them, and I tell him the same thing, and now I'm catching them. I mean, there's no rule on that.
No. And you find,
and I am absolutely okay with that. I mean, like I said, now as a boater, I am 100% okay with that.
Yeah,
and I will give my co-angler whatever he needs.
Well, you'll find guys that some guys will say, you always need to be doing something different. Some guys will say, I say it depends. Like there are times when you both need to be doing something similar. Like if you're on a really insane jerkbait bite, they can be really color specific sometimes or depth specific. You need to both be throwing that jerkbait and figuring out what the best deal is. Or, if you're flipping, there's only so many things you can flip. If he's flipping a Texas rig, you may want to flip a jig or vice versa. But it really comes down to what you're confident in. And one of the things I wanted people to understand about that video I did was that I don't ask what we're throwing. Like I'm not going to ask, hey, what you got tied on? Because I know what I want. And
exactly,
if we get there,
you fish what you're comfortable with. Absolutely. Yeah,
that's right. I got to but you got to make those decisions before the day that you get there. Like it's the scary thing about being a co-angler, but it's just part of building your confidence, man. It takes time.
And it's either shallow or deep. I mean,
right.
I mean, like legitimately shallow or deep is all you need to know.
That's That's what I said in the video.
I mean, really, you know.
So real quick, what do y'all think from a co-angler perspective, fishing a BFL? Like, do you feel like you can be just as effective, like throwing an A-rig, a jerk bait, and a crankbait? I know what about the crankbait, but it sounds like you throw the A-rig some, Brandon. Do you feel like you can be just as effective on A-rig on the back? To me, it just seems like it'd be so tough to try to throw an A-rig from the back of the boat, having the right angles and all other good stuff, you know?
If you're on the back of the boat and your boater's throwing an A-rig, then I'm going to throw a jerk bait or I'm going to throw an underspin or something like that.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
It depends on the situation you're throwing. Like if you're pulling up on points and you know he's live scoping and A-rigging, you're kind of SOL basically.
Yeah.
If my boater's pulling up, if you're paralleling a bank, dude, I don't feel bad throwing off the back. I really don't. Like paralleling, a steep bluff wall or something. A lot of guys complain about like, oh, we were beating the bank all day and I couldn't parallel. Dude, you can catch fish behind the boat like that. It's not easy and it's not comfortable, but you can do it.
I'm kind of one of those people. I like, if I get an A-rig bite on a bluff wall, I am probably not going to handicap my co-angler like that.
Right. But what if you're catching them doing that? Like, what if you're on that bite?
I don't know, man. That's a hard thing. That's a hard thing. It really is.
I know.
It really is. I'm just not that kind of person. Yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll see when we get there.
Yeah, but I mean, whenever I get in a boat with someone, I always just tell them, dude, you do what you got to do. It's not your responsibility to put me on fish. It's my responsibility to fish what's in front of us. So unless your co is just like on them on something, it's not the co's responsibility to. Like, you're not a fishing guide as the boater.
And I can tell you, last year. Well, I mean, I've been doing this for 4 or 5 years now. I can legitimately say that I've only had one bad boater. And all that time, everybody else is so cool. They're like, "Hey, man, as long as you don't cast over me, I don't care where you cast."
Right.
I feel like I'm the same way as a boater.
Yeah.
Man,
we got some good stuff happening in the chat here. We got
hell.
Yeah, we got Bible Belt saying he's going to do his first.
Oh, we got Bible Belt.
Yeah, we got Bible Belt. We got Gordo in the chat, man. Shouting
Gordo's in here. Hell yeah.
Yeah, man.
Bible Belt actually did me a solid the other day. Was Johnny K was in the chat there. Bible Belt, he's 100% about pushing my lures.
Awesome.
And I'm excited about that. That's cool.
I love to see the local guys work together, man. We have to.
Oh, heck yeah, man.
So, hey, Chad, if you are looking for some advice on fishing your first BFL, check out my videos, man. I drop a lot of good knowledge in there. A lot of the stuff that I've learned, not just as like fishing, but I've learned from other guys too. I drop a lot of little good nuggets on there. It looks like he's got your stuff tied on for Saturday, man.
Heck yeah.
That's awesome.
I'm excited.
You fishing this weekend, Brandon?
I'm going to try. I actually picked up an extra shift on Sunday, which is Super Bowl Sunday. I did not realize. But, it's fine.
That's good stuff, man. I understand.
We're firefighters. We don't.
Somebody's got to work, I guess.
The fire service does not pay much. So.
Well.
Yeah, we got to do what we can.
No, I get it, man. I get it. What are your favorite places to go around here in Middle Tennessee?
So, I like Percy Priest in the winter. And then Old Hickory's is my home lake. Once we get to summertime, I'm going to do a lot more wading the river.
Yeah.
Which I am going to do one final video of trout fishing because they just released, about a week ago, they released trout. So, I'm gonna go up in Springfield. Springfield. I'll probably go to Dixon too.
Cool.
I'm gonna do hopefully a couple of trout videos. Hopefully we'll catch some trout.
Yeah.
Before the stocking season's over.
Yeah.
I did. I actually did have a video of that, but I didn't catch many. I only caught like one, just because the river was so high. It rained a lot, so hopefully I can get one of those in.
For sure. Got some good stuff in the chat. Looks like Chad will be out on Saturday. He likes to hit that river, man. I'd love to.
He does, and he was talking about he was going out to Lone Branch on Saturday, which is in Cedar Creek, and I know the exact spot he's talking about fishing, which has got some lily pads in it. So I hope that shutterbug does well for him.
There you go. Yeah, I'll be hopefully catching some striper on Old Hickory on Sunday. I've got one of my good buddies who I've talked about, Tyler Parsons, be out there catching some pre-spawn stripe. Should be fun.
Yeah, hopefully. Because I see Gordo's on there. I need to message Gordo, see if he wants to go out and get some hybrids here pretty soon.
There you go. I actually just bought some glide baits yesterday from a guy here locally. And have either of you done the glide bait thing?
I have not.
Okay. Johnny, yes or no?
Yeah, I've got some. Who's the local guy? I didn't realize we had somebody local here.
Oh, it's not like his stuff, but he just was selling a bunch of them. Byron Childers. He's a local missile baits rep.
Oh yeah, chatted with him. So.
Yeah, it's a good dude. But I bought them really because I'm going to be doing some striper fishing this summer, and out on the Caney doing some wading and stuff. So either of you have any experience with that, or want to do that this summer?
I mean, I do. I've been fishing the Caney for probably 20 years now.
Sweet.
Mostly little rainbows and the occasional big brown, actually. And then of course smallmouth. When they're not generating, but I mean when they generate, man, it's a mess. But
it is. That's cool. Johnny's got some toys to show off.
Yeah.
It's a big baits.
No,
what you got, Johnny?
This one's a 7-inch one, Carl Jockson. I'm like,
yeah.
BTL. So if you want me to buy something, go in Bass Talk Live and talk about it.
That's true. I think I get probably 2 to 3 texts every week of like, "Hey man, bought this thing off of BTL."
I know you caught something on a mag drive not too long ago. That's the 8-inch one.
Yeah, man. Fish a little pond down here, right near where I live, and there's a couple draft eaters in there.
Yeah, so I got to show you guys this. So, which I've got to change the hooks on these, but I'm pretty sure they came off the same line as Mag Draft.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they are identical to Mag Drafts, except the hooks. Except the hooks. The hooks suck, but I mean, they were $5 a pop. I couldn't resist.
Might as well. Cool.
Yep. And Johnny, that was at the show.
Alex, that's what you caught.
Oh yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Oh wow.
The 6-inch. I think the color I was fishing was a little bit more of a white or a pearl.
There's that one too, the belly weight one.
Yeah,
that's sexy.
That's the color I was throwing, but I was throwing just the rigged line through one. So I'm going to try to get into it a little more this year, not just for the stripe, but for the bass too. I mean, I'd like to do that a little more. So we'll see how it goes.
It's all about the 6-6 trace draw.
Yep.
6-6 makes some good.
I'll tell you what, I've been fishing a lot more 6-inch stuff here lately.
Yeah.
But they're deep divers, especially.
They're very popular.
Yep.
I've had some good luck.
And they're cheap. Oh, I mean, not cheap, but like inexpensive, I guess you could say.
Right. Yeah, they're average instead of crazy like a lot of the stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got Gordo in the chat talking about Zaldane's new swim bait.
Oh, yeah.
Johnny's got an S waiver there. But yeah, Guggen and
That video
I think
was
it was
awesome.
like, oh yeah,
you know, that's cool.
Oh yeah, that's sexy, dude. I like that. Heck yeah.
yes. You know, Zaldane, who was with Megabass for so long, pretty much made the mag draft. Was one of the guys
Yeah.
who made that mag draft so popular.
Yeah.
I think it's called the Zaldangerous swim bait, but it just came out just a few weeks ago.
Now, I'm not a huge fan of Guggen stuff, but I've fished a handful of their stuff. But
yeah, I think some of their stuff's really good, and some of it is trash. I mean, it's like any company; you're gonna have some stuff you really like, and some stuff you don't.
Oh yeah.
But I will say,
most of it is trash, but okay.
I think I am gonna pick some of those up because they've got a they're like the freestyle mag draft where they're not hooked, so you can use whatever hook you want. You could use like a real big underspin if you wanted to, or just a standard swim bait hook.
The thing I liked about the mag draft is it's got that magnet that holds the hook up against the bait, and you can. Yep. Right there. Yep.
I end up actually pushing that hook up in the belly if I'm fishing it. If I'm like skipping docks and stuff.
Yeah.
It works phenomenal.
Yeah.
And by the way, you trashing Guggen stuff, Godo's he's not gonna like that. We're both Guggen fans.
Ah, well, that's okay. I mean, like I said, I don't hate Guggen, but they don't, but they don't produce anything of their own.
Well, no, of course not. I mean, that's
like Ketchko makes all their stuff, which I mean, Ketchko makes a lot of good stuff. I mean, I'm not trashing Guggen. I'm not trashing Ketchko, but yeah.
No, I mean,
I make all my own stuff.
Look,
so.
we've all got stuff from different companies that we like, and we may not. That's just how it is, man. That's the world we live in right now.
I'm a Spro fan myself.
Yeah, I too.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Like a lot of their square bills, their Little John, they're flat sided. I like Spro.
That's what I caught all my fish on at Del Hollow last year, man. That was.
I mean, they're pricey. Golly, they're pricey, but man, they work.
That's right. Yeah. Well, you guys have anything else you want to?
Square bill run
wood?
I was asking if you feel like when you're throwing a square bill, do you feel like you have to be around wood, or you think a square bill works on priests around the rocks?
I throw a square bill in everything.
Yes, my man.
I am a square bill fanatic. I'm not even brand loyal, but I will throw a square bill into the nastiest stuff you can imagine.
So what's your number one square bill? Just versatile, year round, whatever you're throwing. What's your favorite?
Either a Spro or so Strike King makes a certain color that is a Bass Pro exclusive, and it's like a chartreuse with a black back, but it's got like scales on it.
Okay, cool.
And you can only get it at Bass Pro. I've had a ton of luck on that. Then, like I said, Spro, anything Spro, and then 6 cents.
Yeah,
I've been
throwing
some 6 cent stuff here lately. Yep.
That little Crush 50X is pretty good little dude.
Yeah, little Crush. Yep. But I mean, like the square bill is like a spinnerbait to me. I will throw it anywhere.
I agree. Yeah, I'm excited to throw that Rocco tomorrow. I haven't really thrown it all that much, but I'm partial to anything that Odd Defoe puts his hands on. So I will.
I mean, he is the man.
He is. So I'm going to start winding the show down here. If you guys in the chat have anything else you want us to talk about, or if you guys have anything you want to talk about, we're going to start wrapping up here next couple minutes. But man, it was great to have you on, Brandon. Johnny and I do this just about every week, but it's good to have someone new, kind of mix it up a little bit.
Yeah, man. Good to be on here. I appreciate y'all having me on your little party here. So
Yeah, no, it's fun.
I'm excited to see how you're doing.
I am honored. I would love to be on anytime. So
Cool, man. Doesn't look like we have anything dropping in the chat. So, I'm going to go ahead and close this out. But this was fun, man. I appreciate you guys joining. And, hey, have a great rest of your week. Have a great weekend.
absolutely. We'll see y'all soon.
Bye, guys.